From Alucard to Jean-Luc Picard, nerds like a lot of things, but there's something they love above all else, that is correcting people. This is Actually. And here we are, the final round in our Tournament of Champions. Winners of winners, a quarter quell situation where we've brought back previous champions to play once again. Today, we have Jared Logan.
What's up? I'm Jared, and because this is the Tournament of Champions, I'm going to channel the abilities of Trico Slatteris, the champion of the universe from Marvel Comics.
And Siobhan Thompson.
I'm gonna do the Hunger Games thing, because that's what Trap just referenced.
And John Gutierrez.
Hello.
Fantastic. Well, three formidable foes for sure. They have clobbered the competition to get here. You know how this works. You've just done it a bunch. If you are watching this for the first time, weird first episode to start with, but I'm not gonna stop you. These are a stack of false statements, but the things you love. It's up to you to correct me. You must precede your corrections with the phrase, actually, and you can interrupt me whenever you want. You guys feel ready to jump right into it?
Hell yeah.
So ready.
In the film Time Bandits, a boy finds himself accompanying a group of time-hopping explorers. Using a map stolen from God, they are relentlessly pursued by the giant floating head of the Almighty, as they skip from era to era, attempting to correct historical moments that have been damaged by the film's antagonist, referred to simply as evil. Goots.
Actually, they're not actually trying to repair anything that's been damaged by time. They just want to steal things.
That's correct. It's in the title. They're time bandits.
Yeah.
They're stealing things. They're not really helping that much. They're just they're stealing stuff throughout history. Time bandits. There it is. That's a point for Goots.
I love that movie.
Yeah, Jared.
Actually, another floating head motif can be found in Terry Gilliam's The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, wherein Robin Williams plays the floating head of the Moon King. Can I have his point?
No, you can't just, you just added more information. You didn't correct
all
anything.
right.
If I need to defend my point
Sure,
from
please.
that, well, that's actually
Nerd fight.
that's because they're all part of an unofficial trilogy that Terry Gilliam did about the different ages of man, where Time Bandits is about youth, Brazil is about middle age, and then the Baron of Munchausen is old age.
Is there a floating head in Brazil?
There's a metaphorical floating head?
Yeah. The floating head is all of us.
Yeah. Dude loves a visual motif.
Yeah, Terry Gilliam is nothing if not visual, I guess.
Yeah.
It's so shocking that Terry Gilliam movies often go over budget or don't get finished at all sometimes.
Well, cool. That's a point for Goots for recognizing that the Time Bandits are in fact Time Bandits. This is our second statement here. Neil Stephenson's Snow Crash follows an unnamed hacker and a pizza delivery driver in the 21st century Los Angeles who uncovers the mystery and danger around a data file. Oh, yeah, sure.
Actually, he's not unnamed. His name is Hero Protagonist.
That's correct. The protagonist of Snow Crash is named Hero Protagonist.
I hate it. Makes me so mad.
H-I-R-O.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes,
That
like
is
the
so-
Japanese name.
Siobhan, thoughts, comments?
It's just some fucking bullshit.
How so?
Don't do it. Nate, give your character a real name.
He comes from a long,
'Cause
proud
is he the
protagonist
chosen
family.
one? Is he the chosen one? Is he just a normal kid and then some fucking bullshit happens and then he's the chosen one? I
He's not
I don't
really
know
a
anything about
There's
the
no
other
prophecy,
but
no.
he is certainly the protagonist.
He's the most badass hacker of all time?
Yeah.
Sure. But his dad is like,
Please, Mr. Protagonist.
his dad,
Mr. Protagonist, yeah.
Dr. Protagonist.
Yeah. I didn't.
It's just like, I've been just hanging out, treating children. I'm a pediatrician and I save a lot of lives that way.
The fun thing about having the name Hero Protagonist is it does imply that you come from a long family of protagonists who each of them has assumed that they are the hero of their own story.
Right.
Just a nightmare family who just assumes that whenever anybody else leaves the room, they cease to exist.
Well, there's 1 point for Jared. One of the tales in 1001 Arabian Nights is the story of Aladdin and the magic lamp. In the story, a sorcerer traps Aladdin in a magic cave, but Aladdin manages to escape by finding a magic lamp and cleverly tricking the genie inside. Jared.
Actually, Aladdin doesn't trick the genie. The genie has to give him 3 wishes, and he uses one to get out of the cave.
Incorrect.
I'm actually in 1001 in the book.
Yeah.
He's not in a cave. The cave is in the Disney movie.
It is a cave. It's
Dang.
yeah, no.
Actually, he gets out using a ring that has the genie in it?
That is correct, yes. He has a second genie. He has the genie of the ring. He uses the genie of the ring to get out of the cave, and then he summons a different genie, the genie of the lamp, to do all the various other things that are going on in the
You know
story.
what? It's like the rules of Deus Ex Machina. You get one.
Yeah.
Right,
it
yeah.
feels
Two
like-
genies in a story is
can't
too many
just-
genies.
Early Arabian folk tales needed an editor.
Right. Or they could have another genie who was actually bad and gave you whatever you didn't want.
Yeah.
Sure,
It's
yeah.
the rule of threes. Basic writing
It
skills,
is,
guys.
like, you can see why the movie version changed that, because it is deeply unsatisfying to be like, it's like, I'll use the genie of the ring to get out. And it's like, and what's in the lamp? A different genie that's a little more powerful. It's like, well, what's wrong with the genie of the ring? It's like, he's a little weaker, I guess. I don't know. We don't talk to him anymore.
You know, there were Scheherazade nerds that walked out like, I hated how they combined both genies into one character.
Here's a little screenwriting tip for you. If you can't figure out how to get your character out of a bind, just have him summon a genie, and that'll do it.
It's done a lot in films. I was surprised The Departed just has a genie at the end.
Yeah.
Well, that was a point for Goots, finding that extra genie. So we'll move on to our next question. This is a video game question. Question about video games. One of the most prolific voice actors in video games is Charles Martinet, who provides the voice of Mario, Luigi, Wario, Waluigi, Baby Mario, Toad, and Parthenax. Siobhan.
Actually, he doesn't voice Wario.
Incorrect.
Dang.
Goots.
Actually, Toad doesn't have a voice?
I mean, I guess we'll have to look into it. But you've hit the yeah, Jared, what?
Actually, he doesn't voice Toad.
He doesn't voice Toad. But
We know this to be true.
we do know this to be true, and now I'm wondering, it's like, does Toad ever? He must speak at some point, but I guess I don't really know. I'm trying
He
to.
does, because I've been playing it, and yeah, he's like.
There's a sort of like.
Who could forget Toad's great speech from Super Mario Brothers 2?
He's like,
Friends, Romans, toadstools.
Henry
Lend
the
me your princesses.
Yes, he's always monologuing.
it's this very long speech that we just hear. It's like, like you're just trying to cut
Oh my
through.
god,
It's like,
no,
"Jeez."
why would you not let me skip this?
Yeah, there's one writer who really was like, no, the people need to hear. This is my magnum
I have
opus.
written a Toad language, and the people must hear it.
They call it the Mushroom Kingdom, yet the Toad people are oppressed. Why are we not on the throne? Why are we forever?
I can't understand a thing this guy's saying.
This guy sucks. Bring him down.
Clearly, his culture is primitive.
Get a plumber in here to rule us. That's what we need. Well, I don't know who to give that to.
Well, I think I was.
Me,
I think
probably.
I was sort of cheating a little bit. I think
Yeah.
that's for Goots for sure.
yeah. Look,
Chime in and say that Toad does have a voice.
Oh, then I am right. I get
Yeah.
the point.
all right. Fair enough. We will give that to Jared. We'll see how this plays out. And we'll move on to our very first shiny question. This is a game that we're going to call Under Review. We're going to put a snippet of a movie review up here on the screen. It'll be up to you to see if you can identify what movie the review is talking about based only on their critique of it. Let's put this up here. This is from Roger Ebert, the Chicago Sun-Times, saying, a dazzling movie from Walt Disney in which the computers have been used to make themselves romantic and glamorous. Here's a technological sound and light show that is sensational and brainy, stylish and fun. Jared?
Actually, I think he's talking about Tron.
He is talking about Tron.
Oh.
That is Tron. That is a point for Jared for recognizing the sensational, brainy, stylish, fun romp that is Disney's Tron.
That's what we think of when we think of Tron.
yeah.
It's a romp.
It's
It's romantic and glamorous.
Well, that is a point for Jared for recognizing Tron, and we're gonna move right along. Well, we made a bunch of mistakes and you caught them. Here are our favorite corrections from you, the viewers.
At CA593R says, actually, Raziel is from the Legacy of Kain series of games. However, his debut title was Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. Also, his status as a vampire is debatable as pictured, though it is more recognizable than his vampire form before he was a Soul Reaver. And this is only the first of 2 tweets. 1 point. At Diacritic says, actually MODOK was not originally called that, but was originally named MODOK, or mental organism designed only for computing. He renamed himself after rebelling and murdering his creators. I'm sorry for confusing MODOK with MODOK. 1 point for you. And from our exclusive Dropout Discord, Bin Jost says, actually Nosferatu is not the name of the vampire. His name is Count Orlok. Nosferatu is the word they use instead of vampire. Several people made this correction, but I'm giving it to Bin Jost.
Some cartoon questions for you. Steven Universe is primarily known for its colorful cast of extraterrestrial sentient gems, but there are also an array of humans who populate the show's primary setting, Beach City, including Onion, Kiki and Jenny Pizza, Ronaldo Fryman, Cookie Puss, Sour Cream, Yellowtail, and Sadie Miller. Yes, Goots?
Actually, Cookie Puss is simply an advertising cookie in the ice cream cookie. It's not a character itself. It's just an ice cream cookie that he enjoys.
You're close enough that I'm going to. You're correct that it is in the show. It is Cookie Cat and not Cookie Puss. Cookie Puss is a real thing that exists in our world. That is a Carvel ice cream cake.
Let me tell you something. I love just digging into a Cookie Puss.
Don't say that, man.
What?
It sounds weird.
It's a snack.
Yeah.
Real men eat cookie puss.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
You hear me, DJ Khaled? Cookie Cat is based on Cookie Puss a little bit. It was apparently the creator of Steven Universe became fascinated by the surprisingly deep lore behind the ice cream cake Cookie Puss. Cookie Puss is a celestial person from the planet Birthday.
The planet Birthday?
Planet Birthday.
But do any of the other Carvel cakes come from the planet Birthday? Does Fudgy the Whale?
No, Fudgy the Whale is dragged screaming out of the actual sea.
Actually,
He's only fudge colored because he's covered in oil.
Cookie Puss is one of those weird things that, like, the term itself had, like, invaded my brain, though I don't think I'd ever actually seen a Cookie Puss cake before. Just show a picture of Cookie Puss for those.
I have no idea what it looks like.
Siobhan, you gotta buckle up here.
Oh God.
There's
what
Cookie
the
Puss.
hell?
No, I don't like that at all.
Monstrosity. Why is there a cone on there? It's
That's his nose.
horrifying. It's so much worse because it does look like a pussy. It looks like a horrifying, like, if somebody described a pussy to you, but you'd never actually seen one,
You draw this.
it does look like that.
I think you're intolerant of birthdayans.
Well, that's Cookie Puss.
Horrifying. Truly horrifying.
And point for Goots.
I'd eat it.
Here is a question about Star Trek. Star Trek has always been a fairly progressive show featuring a multiracial cast and multicultural.
Actually, it's not always been a fairly progressive show. It doesn't have any gay characters until very recently, and that is deeply shitty.
That is true, but that's not what we're going for.
That's fine.
It is progressive in other ways, though you certainly always room for improvement.
Yes.
Star Trek has always been a fairly progressive show featuring a multiracial cast and multicultural characters. The original series also has the honor of airing the first interracial kiss on TV, when Kirk and Uhura kiss in the episode Plato's Stepchildren.
I'm actually only on TV in the US, you nationalist motherfucker.
That's correct. And also there's some other things too, but generally speaking, this is like a bit of trivia that people sometimes trot out. They're like, oh, first interracial kiss on TV. It's simply not true. In the UK, there was a TV adaptation of the play Hot Summer Night, and also there were other shows, even in America, I Love Lucy, and there was an episode of Movin' with Nancy, in which Nancy Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. share a kiss. So. Simply not true, even though it's a piece of trivia that gets thrown around an awful lot.
I love how Star Trek is always pointed at as progressive, but it's always like, and the white man is the captain.
Yeah.
And the Japanese guy can drive. And the black lady works the phones. We are
like-
helping the races.
Yeah.
Every time they go to a planet, they fuck. It's the worst kind of diplomacy.
Yeah.
It's very, very bad.
You know what? It's better than bombs.
I mean, sure, but suddenly Riker's in like a pair of leggings with a codpiece, just like standing like this next to whatever woman he's supposed to be
Have you
negotiating with.
seen the supercut of Riker sitting in chairs weird?
It's great.
It's very funny because he just like throws his leg over the chair. He kind of like sort of side saddles it a little bit.
I bet Jonathan Frakes was so upset he could never get one fully turned around.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he could
Yeah,
sit on
they-
it like a cool teacher.
They've got those weird, like, you
Yeah.
have to like kneel on top of it like you're riding a horse.
Hey, Cardassians, let's rap for a little bit.
No, I'm trying to be very. You're not taking me seriously, and I don't like that. Picard's just like, stop it, stop. Riker, stop, you're pissing them off. I'm just trying to be cool here, guys. That's a point for Siobhan.
At
For
last,
Siobhan,
thank God.
for calling me a nationalist fuck. All right, I guess I'll allow it.
Going to the grocery store is stressful. I'm planning what you're gonna cook all week, trying to find that perfect unbruised piece of produce, navigating around those idiots who block the whole aisle with their cart. It's awful. Forget about it. Let the groceries come to you with HelloFresh. HelloFresh cuts out all that stressful meal planning and those horrible trips to the grocery store so you can actually enjoy cooking and get food on the table in 30 minutes or less. With over 25 recipes to choose from each week, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And each recipe has been tested by professional chefs and nutrition experts, so they're maximum deliciousness and simplicity. Ultimate simplicity! It's easy, that's what I'm saying. I tried HelloFresh, and it was honestly a much-needed break. I don't know about you, but I've been cooking a lot of my old standbys this past year, and frankly, I'm getting a little tired of them. HelloFresh was a quick, easy way to shake up my standard meals. You want to try it for yourself? You can. I've got a great deal for you. Go to HelloFresh.com/actually12 and use the code actually12 and you'll get 12 free meals with free shipping. Check it out right now. HelloFresh.com/actually12. Use the code actually12 right now. That's 12 free meals, people. Free food. We're offering it to you. That's HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.
In all 3 MCU Thor movies, Nidavellir, home of the dwarves and one of the 9 realms, is referenced but not seen. It is not until Avengers Infinity War that we actually get to visit Nidavellir, the place where yes, Goots.
Actually, in Infinity War, we don't get to visit Nidavellir. We get to go to the Forge of the Dwarves, but we don't actually get to see the home of the dwarves?
No, that's not what we're going for here. I will finish the question. I'll just start over.
That sounded right to me, John.
Yeah. I like how confident you
Yeah,
are.
I'm with John.
Sometimes when people buzz in very confidently, there's a moment where I'm like, oh no, are they gonna know something I didn't know and this is gonna throw everything out of whack? But here we go. In all 3 MCU Thor movies, Nidavellir, home of the dwarves and one of the 9 realms, is referenced but not seen. It is not until Avengers Infinity War that we actually get to visit Nidavellir, the place where the Infinity Gauntlet was forged. Yes, Jared?
Actually, Nidavellir is not the home of the dwarves. It is the home of the elves.
It is the home of the dwarves. It is the home of the dwarves.
Well, see how confident I did that?
Yeah.
You did. It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
real nice.
Yeah.
Actually, they don't visit it in Thor 2, but it is in one of the visions that he gets, that Idris Elba's character gets.
That's a fun thing, but no, that's not.
Just throwing out
That's a
some
very
ideas
interesting
into
guess.
the-
Like, oh yeah, maybe it just appears in there.
Prove it's not in one of the visions.
Yes, prove it.
I'm gonna say no points for this one because I think
Yeah.
we got a couple stumpers here. So the thing that was wrong was I had said that it's not until Avengers Infinity War that we see Nidavellir, but in fact in Avengers Age of Ultron, in the post-credits sequence, we see Thanos taking the Infinity Gauntlet in Nidavellir. So very.
You are such a
is
dork,
sweet.
man.
Please.
Actually, do we have any confirmation that he's in Nidavellir doing that? We just see him stick his hand into essentially a closet and pull it out with a gauntlet. There's no guarantee that that's actually the home of the dwarf.
It could just be.
Yeah,
It
could
could
have
be
been at
some
your
way
mom's house,
station.
too.
Yeah.
Could have been at your fucking mom's
Don't
house.
say that. It's not my mom's house. That's mean.
It could have just been his motorized tie rack of gauntlets that he's just putting his hand in.
What do we got here? What gauntlet today? The Infinity Gauntlet, I think, will go nicely. I think we're fairly certain that's Nidavellir, but
Been confirmed by the director's answers.
very good. Well, no points there, but whatever. It was a tricky question anyway. And that will bring us to our second shiny question. This is a game called Fictionary. I'm going to give you the name of a creature or monster from folklore, and it'll be up to you to draw it to the best of your ability. Your monster is the Jersey Devil. The Jersey Devil. What does the Jersey Devil look like?
Okay, I'm ready.
Great. We're just gonna go down the line. We'll start with Jared.
So here is my Jersey Devil, and as you can see, it has the head of a goat. It has horns. It has big bat wings. It has the body of sort of a kangaroo. It walks upright. It has a snake-like tail. and it's saying Noise because it's from New Jersey. And key detail, Mike, it's in the Pine Barrens of New Jersey, where the folklore says it is to exist.
Those are many of the details you're looking for. That's a pretty accurate drawing of the Jersey Devil. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at what Siobhan, what does your Jersey Devil
Mine
look
is
like here?
equally accurate
Okay.
and definitely is beautiful. So he has a spiky face and red eyes and an ape body, and I don't know anything about this.
He's like an ape body?
Yes.
Like a
Because he
gorilla?
lives in the woods or something, I don't know.
Well, this is mostly inaccurate.
Look, I'm not from this country, but I can tell you about the Beast of Brass Knocker Hill, who is a mythical creature that lives in my village.
There might be a devil in the old Jersey.
Sure, this is the old Jersey Devil.
This
You
is-
should have qualified it as the New Jersey
this
Devil.
is the original Jersey Devil,
Yes.
not the New Jersey Devil.
Yes, this eats cream, and that's it.
Well, I don't think I can give you points for that, but it's a
fine.
lovely drawing. Goots, why don't you show us your Jersey Devil? This looks like Charizard.
Yeah, well, or kind of a drunk figment from Epcot.
Yeah.
So yeah, head of a goat, horns, big bat wings, hooves, kind of a body of a kangaroo with a big long tail. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of stoned, so it's kind of a Jersey-ish.
Yeah, like just got that general Jersey vibe. Cool. Well, yeah, you both hit a lot of the things we're looking for. Let's go ahead and show the picture of the Jersey Devil here. There you go. A lot of the, in fact, the very specific things we're looking for: head of a goat, kangaroo-like body, bat wings, sort of wyvern-like, cloven hooves, forked tail. And found in the Pine Barrens. This guy is emitting a blood-curdling scream, which I guess noise could be interpreted a lot like that.
Curdles my blood when I hear it.
Yeah. So I'm going to say point for both Jared and Goots for their pretty accurate depiction of the Jersey Devil. Are either of you from somewhere, anywhere near New Jersey where you're intimately familiar with the Jersey Devil, or you just happen to have a love of cryptids and...
I'm from West Virginia.
Okay.
Our monster is poverty.
Oh, cute.
In some ways, a scarier monster than the
Yeah.
Jersey Devil. And it's
Black
really
lung.
hard,
Exactly.
really hard to get rid of.
A black lung will get you if you work the only paying job.
Well, we make mistakes here too, and if you notice something that we got wrong, you can correct us by tweeting @actuallyshow. If we like your correction, we might feature it in the next episode. We're gonna move on to our next question here. This is about Magic the Gathering. Even wizards make mistakes, which is why a good number of cards in Magic the Gathering are banned from tournaments. Skull Clamp was banned because it was so useful that it was being included in nearly every tournament deck. Scheherazade was banned for making games too long by having players start a second game before returning to their first, and Chaos Orb was banned for being used in conjunction with other cards to create an endless recursion loop. Goots.
Actually, Scheherazade didn't have you play another game, because that would be insane, even by the standards of Magic the Gathering.
No, that is incorrect. That is what Scheherazade does. We can try to find the exact wording of the card, but yeah, I believe it makes you play a whole other game that's sort of like parentheses inside the game that you are playing. You finish that out and then you return to the other game.
Man, so meta.
Yeah.
Actually, Skull Clamper sucks and nobody uses it.
No, that's not the case.
Okay, wait, I just have to remember what the last one was.
Yeah.
Actually, Chaos Orb does not create an endless recursion loop.
That's correct. I don't like that you're just guessing, but you know what? That's
Should've
the game you
waited.
play. Maybe sometimes other
Yeah.
people guess other things before you, and you can just, if you're willing to bet that they won't guess it before you, it gives you a slightly better chance. Any idea what Chaos Orb might do if you had to guess?
I'd like for these guys to take a stab at it.
Sure.
It makes an orb that is very chaotic.
It just hovers in space.
Yeah.
It's the only actually magic card that like makes a real orb like hover in the middle of the thing. Stop casting magic.
I think Chaos Orb means that you just have to throw all the cards up in the air and everyone just goes home in frustration.
You're
like 52
you're
card pickup.
surprisingly close, actually.
Magic is a silly game.
So Chaos Orb, what it has you do is it has you throw the card up in the air, and whatever it lands on has to be destroyed, like within the game,
God.
which is incredibly annoying and very silly, as you've said. And there's even there's sort of like an urban legend about some player who won a tournament because he tore the card up like confetti and threw it into the air, so all the pieces like hit like a bunch of different cards. And it's like, you gotta destroy them all. It hit a bunch of cards.
It does feel like Airbud rules.
Yeah,
That, of
there's
just
nothing
like,
in the
there's
rule
rules that says you can't tear the card up and throw it into tiny little pieces. Like that should just be like, well, you just can't do that.
Yeah.
Like,
Show me in the
you
rule
just
book.
ruined your card.
Show me where it gets.
Exhausting.
Do you ever play anything from the Unglued?
Right,
edition?
Unglued is the parody set of
Yeah.
Magic the Gathering cards that, tongue-in-cheek, makes fun of Magic as a whole thing.
Yeah. I'll be honest in saying I kind of loved it.
Oh, I love it too,
Yeah.
because it's all cards that are silly like that.
It's like
yeah.
There's
actually an unglued card called Chaos Confetti, making fun of the chaos or
there you go.
Wow.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
That's so nerdy.
Fun.
I also like when nerd properties get so big they can parody themselves. Like, do you remember the Marvel comic book What the? Which was just parodies of Marvel comics in a Marvel comic.
Fun fact, I spent several years writing the What the animated cartoons on Marvel.com.
Really?
That's
I was the voice of Doctor Strange, but I wrote a bunch of like parody ones, like Twilight Zone parodies, but Marvel comics and things
Awesome.
like that.
That's very
cool.
cool. Well, we started talking about Magic the Gathering. We ended up talking about comics, and we're going to keep talking about comics with this next question. This is Marvel's Doop. A member of X-Force and X-Statix, Doop's powers include flight, psionics, super strength, shape-shifting, magic, and the power of funk. Doop has defeated Thor, was instrumental in the collapse of the Soviet Union, and is an in-universe celebrity. Despite his impressive resume, he's had jobs ranging from professional videographer to private investigator to receptionist at a school. Although typically referred to as he, Doop is an alien life form who is sometimes seen rejecting gender binary and is openly pansexual. And he is described as extremely sexually active. He speaks a unique language known as Doop speak, which readers can translate using a decoder key. Yes, Siobhan.
Actually, this character was created after the Soviet Union fell. There's no way that this character was created in like 1982.
That is incorrect.
Pansexual.
Jared.
Actually, there's no decoder key for Doop speak.
There is, yeah. You can actually like figure out what Doop speak's all about if you want to take the time. Yeah, Goots.
Actually, he's not an alien, he's a mutant.
He's not an alien. That is in fact what is at fault here. He was created by the U.S. military during the Cold War. But everything
Why
else
is
I
that funny
said
to me?
is correct. He is all those other
I
things.
mean, look, that is some Mary Sue shit,
What? No.
I want to read the issues just about Doop's sex life.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does he fuck?
Hey, well.
I think
Look,
you put
I
the
mean,
top
it
down.
needs to be. How big is he?
Dupe is pretty small.
I guess
think.
if he's a shapeshifter.
How big? Dupe I know is fairly
think
small.
he's
like
about this
he's like
big.
I want to say like 3 feet, 4
Yeah.
feet, somewhere around there. He's like a sort of floating potato, basically, a large potato.
You
yeah.
can see why he fucks so much.
Well, that was a point for Goots for identifying that Dupe is not an alien.
I can't wait for Fox to make a Doop movie.
Who would you cast to play Dupe in the Dupe movie?
Jack Black.
Well, this brings us to our final shiny question of the game. This is a game that we call a title of words. You may have noticed that sci-fi and fantasy books often have titles that are titled things like a thing of thing, a something of something, a blah of blah. So we've taken 6 of those real book titles and we've scrambled the nouns all around into a little word bank for you. It's up to you to put those nouns in the order where it makes the appropriate titles. Warn you, Jared got all 6 last time.
dweeb.
Yeah, well, let's flip it over and let's see what we've got. Why don't you show us what you got, and let's run through these titles.
Okay, so The Mists of Avalon by Marion Zimmer Bradley. Then we have A Dream of Spring, which I think is number 12 in the Wheel of Time. Then we have The Thief of Time. We all know that that was by Harper Collins. And then Six of Crows, it's a Magic the Gathering card. The Book of the Three by Stephen King. And finally, The Claw of the Conciliator, which we all know is from Gene Wolfe's Book of the New Sun.
Well, some of those authors were way off, but I'm happy to say, Jared, you got all 6 correct
Are you
again.
God damn.
shitting my fuck right now?
I have one different from that, and I was like, fuck, he's got them right for sure.
How
and it's
can
too
that be
late.
true? I didn't know 4 of those.
We'll go down the line. We'll see what we got, and then we'll run through the correct answers. Siobhan,
Yeah,
what do you have?
I got all of these. Thief of Time is a Terry Pratchett book.
Thief Time is a Terry Pratchett book. That's correct.
I said Book of 6 and 3 of Crows and not Book of 3 and 6 of Crows because I did not know what the fuck either of these were.
Yeah, six of Crows I put in there to intentionally annoy people because that's a weird phrase to have. Also, having 6 and 3 in there seemed incredibly
Yes.
annoying to combine. But sorry, which else? You have Mists of Avalon.
Mists of Avalon, The Claw of the Conciliator by Gene Wolfe. Classic. Classic. Thief of Time, Book of 6, which is incorrect. A Dream of Spring, which I have not read those books, but it seemed like a real
Dream of
thing.
Spring is actually the currently unreleased upcoming George R.R. Martin book that is in the Song of Ice and Fire
So
series.
nobody's read it.
Siobhan, that was 4. Is that
Yes.
right? 4. All right, Goots. Let's see what you got.
I think I only got 2, but I'm announcing I'm getting the copyright on all the rest of these that I've made up. So you're going to be reading all of these pretty soon. So yeah, I had The Mists of Avalon.
The first choice for almost everyone, right? Did everyone put Mists of Avalon first? Mm-hmm.
Great book. Great
Yeah.
feminist take
great.
on King Arthur.
Yeah.
Gotta read it.
Yeah. Dream of Spring, The Book of Crows, Time of the Conciliator, 3 of 6, which is just a general saying, but
It sounds like a novelization of a Borg
Yeah.
episode of Star Trek.
3 of 6. You have to reduce that to 1 of 2. You can't leave it as 3 of 6.
Oh no, I figured 3 of 6 was the little sister of 7 of 9 that got added in like the last season of Voyager.
3 of 6, that's about a halfling, isn't it? Okay. All right.
And then,
We're having fun.
yeah. And then Thief of the Claw, which is coming out next year in HarperCollins. So I'm going to try to pitch it to Del Rey tonight.
You're pitching out Thief of the Claw, but I do think the Book of Crows and 3 of 6 sounds like maybe a more enticing read to me. The Book of Crows, man, that sounds like a good time. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, once again, Jared, you've gotten all 6 correct, despite being very unconfident.
I just know how these things are supposed to sound.
Well, 6 of Crows doesn't sound like it should be a phrase. Like,
No.
Yeah.
That's why I was sure I had a bunch wrong.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's so many also books like this that are like, oh, we all play this magical board game, but really it actually exists and magic happens when we find a special set of the game.
Yeah.
And 6 of Crows is a reference to whatever bullshit
You're
game
saying
that
this is a Jumanji sequel.
Yeah.
I love a game that comes to life, because wouldn't you want a game that came to life? Wouldn't you be like, oh, I found this dusty old board game stuck in between the rafters of the attic of the house that we just moved into?
I think you're missing the moral of most of these stories, which is that it's terrifying when a game comes to life.
Well, but you learn a lot along the way and you get much closer to your siblings.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and collect those boards. 6, 1, 5, and this brings us
This is
to
it. This is the one that's gonna win me this game.
This is our final question of the game. Siobhan, I don't know if you're going to be able to pull ahead here.
I don't know, but I have won every real life question that we've done.
Well, that's something.
Because I'm an adult.
You can at least keep Goots from tying it up and trying to pull ahead. You just be the spoiler here. You can be the real Jill Stein of this fucking game.
So
Give
many,
me money for a recount. I'm gonna spend it on other shit.
so many people owe their success to spiting me. So it's nice that you can be another one of them.
Well, I didn't win, but at least that Goots didn't get anything. Well, as always, the last question concerns real life skills. American democracy is brimming with more elected officials than you can shake a stick at. People all over the country go to the polls to vote for sheriffs, coroners, judges, and members of the Electoral College. Siobhan.
Actually, members of the Electoral College are not voted for.
That is correct. Members of the Electoral College are appointed.
Thanks, Jill.
Surely some like random woman in Texas gets to be a member of the Electoral College, and if they want to, they can just vote against whatever we voted for if they like.
That is correct.
It's stupid.
They are appointed officials, and on the other hand, I will say that not all judges. It depends on your state, but in states where they do allow it, judges and coroners and sheriffs are elected officials. Coroner, you don't need a medical license. You don't need anything. You just need to be elected coroner.
I always vote for the spookiest man in the neighborhood.
The weird thing is, there are places where the coroner is the only person who has the authority to arrest the sheriff, and they're both just elected. It's just elected positions where it's like you truly don't need to prove any kind of qualifications for the job. You just need to get elected, and then you're signing off on deaths or you know.
I feel like that's a great alternate ending of 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri, which is like, I'm gonna get myself voted in as coroner, and then I'm gonna arrest you, you fuck.
Well, 6-2-5 is our final score. Siobhan continuing to get the real life skills question. Playing spoiler for old Goots, good old Goots. And that makes Jared our winner of winner, our champion of champions, our 3 of 6, our Book of Crows.
I bow to your superior knowledge and your superior charisma. I thank you both for a great match.
Well, as always, we don't have any sort of real prize except for bragging rights. And that is the end of our episode. Join us next time for even more pedantic corrections here on Actually.